Hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. Today we're going to make soul samples from scratch. I read a comment that asked, can you show us how to make soul samples? So soul samples comes down to sound selection, comes down to playing in the style of an older record. Okay, and then understanding the bass line. The bass line is really the secret key. So let's record some chords here. Now, I'm not a musician, so musicians can express a little more actively. So we're going to do it piece by piece. We're at 94 BPM. The last chord I'm going to fix. Okay, so let's go in. So we have E. Okay, so this would be a dominant ninth chord if I added that G. So instead of this, we're going to do, because that would take us to A minor, which we could. Let me see what that would sound like actually. Let me go down an octave. Let me just see what it sounds like in context. Yeah, so instead of that dominant chord, we're going to pull this up to, now we're in C minor, so the dominant chord's a little bit different. So let's actually just convert this to, we're talking music theory and E's. But let's pull this down to E minor, just E, G, B, D, instead of the F on top. We can add some color tones in here. Like C, for example, that would make that a ninth chord. It's a little too jazzy, so let's pull this down to a minor. Also, to take away some of the jazz vibe, you could remove either the third or the seventh. So this is an add 9 chord. Might be a little more proper. And then we could pull that fifth down. Still needs like that. My ear wants to hear half step, which is this. But we don't need to do all that. Okay, so now that we have this, the key to the bass is that we're going to play the tonic note, which is C, and then we're going to play G, which is the fifth, 7 semitones up or 7 notes up, and play the bass pretty fast. So you could use half steps to make it sound more interesting. So that half step above the tonic, or you could use the whole step. So you could just throw in variations and then use a sharp fifth. Okay, so we'll change it up over time. Okay, so let's go back. My FL is acting so crazy, y'all. So right here, I didn't mean to do the half step. Let's just copy this over because we did it good the first time. Now notice this bass has different articulations. You play it soft, you get a mute, palm mute. Play it harder, you get this glissando. So you got to find a sound plugin that gives you all those articulations. Every bass is completely different depending on the plugin, but it's really that palm mute sound to make it rhythmic. I'm going to change this chord to da. I kind of want to quantize these chords. Let's quantize the bass, hit Alt Q. See, now we have that bounce. Okay, so everything sounds super clean. That's why it's not giving you that 70s vibe. Also, you don't have to play the piano that fast. Now that we know the chords, we can play C. We can play C minor. So I might play a little bit slower now that I have the bass mapped out. Let's make this second half unique. Usually I build around the bass. Let's make this a whole step. So now I can go back and start writing the chords to that. So again, this piano is so clean that it doesn't fit the vibe. So I'll show you guys how to make this more vibey, but first you got to get the chords down and then you could always go back and change out the sound. So first we're going to play C minor. So let's try some different chords. So when in doubt, you can play tresil, dum, 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 that rhythm, just 3 chords. Okay, so one of those chords, I had this the note in there by accident. Let me figure out which chord it was. So right now, again, the piano is just playing one thing. Now we can add top line. Let's go up an octave. So let's record that. Now I'm going to do octaves. I'll show you how to do octaves. It's a little hard to get it. So what I'll do is I'll just program the octave in. Okay, so we recorded that. Hopefully my FL recorded. Okay, so we're going to take these notes, highlight, hit control to highlight, hit shift to duplicate, and hit control up. And what we're going to do is offset these just by a little bit so it flicks into the note. Okay, so now we need organs and different flutes. So let's add a flute in here. We could use Mellotron samples. There's no right or wrong flute. Let's see what Mellotron has though. And if it lags my computer, I'll just pick a different. Oh, you know what? I uninstalled. I forgot I did that. Okay, so I uninstalled all that stuff, the Arturia stuff. I forgot I did that. So let's go to Nexus. We're just going to type in flute. And basically you just want to take off the effects. So we're going to take off delay and reverb. That's what makes it more modern. Or we could do solo flute. This might be better actually. You want it completely dry. Also go to modulation, turn it on legato mode. So we just want like a phrase. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. Now the pitch bend effect, you're going to go to Nexus and change your range to 12. I'm using a MIDI controller, so I'm trying to use the pitch wheel, but the pitch wheel isn't bending enough. Here we go. So now I can pitch bend a little bit easier, and that's a little exaggerated. So let's pull it back to halfway, which is 6. There we go. Dun dun dun. 1. Darn it. So I messed up in the beginning, but we only need the ending here, so we don't need this stuff. Now, a lot of their stuff too had choir, so I would sing, but y'all don't need to hear me just try to stack my deep vocals. But harmony for the vocal is the main sound of that era, the 60s and 70s. They had a lot of vocal stacks. So without the vocals, you're really not going to get a complete soul vibe, in my opinion. Now you can add the 2-5-1 chord progression, which is your D to G to C if you were in the major key. Okay, let me just show you how to process this sound because we have the basics. Everything else is just kind of added on sound. So let's send these sounds to the mixer. Let's highlight these sounds. Hit Control L to send them to the mixer. I'm going to move these so they're closer. Okay, so what I like to do is add effects to everything at once. So I'm going to add a compressor. It's a compressor that isn't transparent. It has like a color to it. It has a sound to it. It's called the UA 175. purposely wanting the listener to feel this compression. So I'm going to push the sound into it and lower the output. Also, tape saturation was a thing back then, so let's add some fat filter Saturn 2. Add some tape. Now we're not going to crunch it like this. We can add some tape bias here. Or you could do EQ before going into tape. So let's add an EQ just to show you what I'm talking about. We could boost the lows going into the tape, so they're processed a little bit heavier through the tape. Again, this piano is too pristine and clean, so we want to start making it sound quote unquote flawed. So that has more of a soul vibe to it. It's just a little bit brighter. Now I made a plugin in our new Sounds Vault, which is coming out pretty soon. It's an 80s pack, but I have presets for the mixer, and we're going to drop one of these in to create a vibe. So let's open up. I have so many. Let's do Tapeify. See what this one sounds like. It adds like a pitch wobble effect, so it grips the ear. Let's add the super compressor. It adds a little more bite, which we don't need for this. But if we did need that extra edge, that extra bite, I'm going to pull this back a little bit. Let's just leave it on. It's a little aggressive, but let's add vibey. Let's see what this adds. We're going to blend this in with the mix level. So now we're starting to get that dated sound. It's a little more mono, so without that, now real soul sample too would change keys sometimes, so I would kind of go into the weeds, but let's change keys from C minor to maybe F minor. Okay, so let's just change keys out of nowhere here. They did a lot of key changing back then. Let's record. So we're going to do F minor. We'll figure out the third chord. I hit the wrong note. It's all good. Maybe let's leave the half step in. That sounds too complete. I kind of liked it the way, because this is technically F minor without the third. Just need that fourth chord. I'm trying to decide where to go on that fourth chord. let's play that second chord again. All right, my FL is like really glitching big time. I don't know what they did or what happened, but it's super glitchy. Okay, so now we need to redo that bass. Instead of redoing it, I'm just gonna hit Control G, grab it over, make it unique, and just transpose it up to F minor because we're using perfect fifths. So it's the same principles. Let's just drop it down to F. Now some of these notes I'll change. So you hear that bite in the bass. That's because of one of these. I think it's the saturation. No, it's this one. One of these is adding a lot of bite. I think too because we're down an octave. We're just going to transpose to make this super easy. Transpose all this. Let's see, we went from C to F, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's before and after the processing, because sometimes we can overdo the processing. So I've probably over-processed trying to show you guys so many plugins. Let's see which ones we need for the vibe. Because we have all this music, we can hit Control G, and now we can start transposing the keys as a whole. So let's drop it down. Let's go up 3 keys. And now it has a happier sound to it. I could use some reverb on this sound. So to grab the ear, I'm going to change one of these chords. So instead of whatever chord we have here, we're going to change this. So I'm purposely downshifting this. Create tension. Okay, so the next thing we could add to this is reverb. So you can group all your melody sounds into one group. Just highlight these, hit Control, right click, route to this track only. Now they're all gonna get sent here. You could process the sound. Let's open up another mixer channel with a reverb. Now there's no specific reverb. I'm just gonna use Valhalla reverb. You don't need any specific reverb. Okay, so we're gonna send the melody sounds to this reverb. Just left click this up arrow to send them. It's a little long of a reverb, so I'm going to adjust it. And that reverb adds in some of that life to the drier sound. Okay, so at this point, you're just trying to add vibe to the sound. All right, so that's how you create soulful vibes that just feel a little bit different than your average sample. If you want to learn more, go to busyworksbeats.com/premium. We have full-on sound design courses, from showing you how to make your own drum kits to showing you how to program sound from scratch. Thank you guys for watching. It's Game from busyworksbeats.com.